Oh, Gaffer, it seems ages since we had a game. What's it been like over the last week or so?
Frustrating, to be honest, Phil. With the fixtures we had coming up, obviously the Boxing Day ones are not always a one you look in the calendar and the fixtures come out. It's always a big game for the fans. So it's 2 years bounce now. We've lost it through no fault of our own, but this is the world we're living in, unfortunately, at the moment. And then when Liz phoned me about Birmingham cancelling their game on Boxing Day, we had a good idea that was going to be off as well. So at that point, I stopped working on Birmingham and started working on Bournemouth. And I hope that game's on. It looks like they're okay. They're playing tonight against Cardiff. So touch wood, that goes ahead and we managed to get back up and running. But, it's the start of a really tough month for us, Bournemouth away. But sometimes these are the games that maybe kickstart your season and you get a win when you least expect it or people least expect it.
Yeah, speaking to Nathan Thompson, obviously as a player, you just adapt to the situation that's in front of you. It's probably a lot harder to be a manager during these times because, as you say, you're preparing for one game, then that game gets cancelled. How do you tailor your training sessions to know who's going to be available? What do you do? It must be challenging.
It is. We've had to change our schedule three times now because the schedule leading up to Boxing Day was they were going to be in Christmas Day morning. Obviously, we had the game on Boxing Day. Then when that game was cancelled, I gave them Christmas Day off. And then we then looked at it and thought, we'll have a 3-day run into the Birmingham game. And then that got cancelled, so we changed that. So the only thing is it's been a normal week for us this week, as in 2 days training on off, 2 days in. And then obviously, we'll prepare Saturday and Sunday for the game on Monday. And then we're not travelling down till the Monday. So we'll prepare as normal, and it's, giving us a bit of time to work with the players. The training has been very good. I've been delighted with the intensity, the quality. It's been very good.
And I guess you're always a manager that has a plan B, a plan C, a plan D. I guess nowadays you have to have a plan F, don't you, in terms of players that could be available, might not be available, who may be isolated, may not be.
Yeah, and you've always, you've got a squad for a reason. We've had to deal with the COVID situation. We've been good, to be fair. We've been good. We've 3 have got it. So Beeve's got it, Connor got it, Idris got it, Joe Ward's got it. So there's 4, and Benji had to isolate because he hadn't been vaccinated. So we've done well. The last few days the players and all staff have been clear. I think the fact that there was going to be the annual sort of Christmas party for the players, that was cancelled. And I think that's been the downfall of some teams. So that's probably helped us a little bit. Plus maybe the fact that some players have already had it in terms of not even having the symptoms before we were testing. But all we can do is have really tight protocols, and they've changed it now to obviously not testing on match days, which I think was having a real hindrance on games. But we prepare as we normally do, as best we can. It is hard because the players are in at a certain time and they're all testing, and you're just waiting for that knock on the door to say A, B, or C have got it. But thankfully, that we've had good news the last few days.
Yeah, you mentioned Joe Ward. Is it he's presumably out of Bournemouth and probably the FA Cup tie then?
No. So how it works he's definitely not out of the FA Cup tie. And probably not out of Bournemouth, if I'm going to be honest. His wife picked it up, so we felt that he's probably a chance. A couple of days he tested negative, then he tested positive. He did a 6-day test yesterday, which was positive still. So if he tested today and tomorrow negative, then he's back with us on Saturday. So because he's done his 7 days. So we've all become so good at knowing the rules of COVID that we know how it works.
Idris Connor, you mentioned there, I think he's gone away, isn't he, with the provisional Sierra Leone squad, and a good opportunity for him to try and get into that final squad for the AFCON.
Yeah, we're hopeful that he will, and I think he is as well, and we wish him all the best. It's a pity he had that break where he had the COVID, where he's had a bit of a gap, but we got some sessions into him. Excuse me, and he goes with all our best wishes, because if he does get in, it's a fantastic tournament, fantastic opportunity to play in a tournament like that. So we wish him well, and hopefully he gets minutes and does well.
Dan Giola obviously went on loan to Maidenhead over the Christmas period. Man of the match performance for him, I think, in his last fixture. He just needs to play games, doesn't he?
He just needs to play games, the boy. And I'm glad he got a clean sheet. They're really, really pleased with him. They got a good result. So hopefully he goes there. At the moment, it's just a 1 month loan, but if he carries on with that, it probably could be longer. Obviously, Christie's gone to Stevenage on loan. He's gone to a manager that he's worked with before. So obviously, I'll have to look at bringing one in. And then, because really we need young Will's filled in and he's got real potential, the boy, but we need to bring one to give, probably no disrespect to Will, but he's very young, a lot more competition to die, but also to let Will go out on loan. I think he needs real men football. That's something that he needs. So we'll look to do that and see what happens.
Yeah, and in terms of obviously recruitment, you've probably been working tirelessly behind the scenes to sort of identify targets, and I guess it's just a case of when that window opens, being ready to do your business as you can. Yeah,
I'm not going to say how many we're going to bring in. I know myself, we all know we've had meetings, what positions we want, what personnel we want. So I'm not going to be making any bold statements about we're bringing 6 or 7 or 3 or 4 in. We'll fill the spaces we feel need filling. There'll be some that we need to get out the door as well. So it's probably going to be a busier January than I'd envisaged in terms of ins and outs, purely because we simply, the points total after 23 games suggests that we need to add some in and some need to go out to get some in. So, but listen, if the worst came to worst and it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I'll get on with it. So, but yeah, it's a little bit more difficult again because of a lot of clubs are saying the same things, including ourselves. We have to wait and see what happens with, are they going to stop the crowds? Doesn't look like they are, to be fair. COVID, it's affecting teams, so they're keeping players for longer. So listen, it's adds more complications, but it's something I honestly never really get too worked up about, because if it doesn't happen, I always work with what I've got anyway, and hopefully we do get some in now.
You mentioned Bournemouth obviously on Monday, the next game, and they're fighting for automatic promotion, but we showed in the game at the Western Homes that we can compete with these teams.
Yeah, we did. We put up a really good disciplined performance. Probably had to defend more than I would liked in terms of when we got the ball back, we gave it away too much. But it was a real sort of determined defensive display we put on. And we managed to get a result, a draw out with them, because they're a top team, at this level. They'll make changes, but it doesn't really matter. A is as good as B, if you know what I mean. So, or B is as good as A. So it's a full of squad, full of quality of the squad, good manager, real clear way how to play. But we've got to go there and it's a game that no one expects us to win. So there isn't really any pressure on us apart from what I'll put on them and what they put on themselves. But I think it's important that we go away and play with a freedom and play the way we want to and hopefully try and get a result.
Ricky J. Jones back in contention?
Yeah, he'll be back in contention. The thing with the squad at a take, some of them will probably have to play the next day, so it's a long journey. The next day we've got the under-23 games. Some of them need a game, the Ricky being in particular. So I'll make decisions on that. But today we had 18 outfield players, so that's a bigger number than we've had the last few days.
Yeah, and just finally, I guess the only player who's probably thinking this COVID situation is great for him is Jack Marriott, because the more games that are postponed, the more he gets closer to getting to somewhere where he wants to be. I guess he's chomping at the bit, but equally, that he's got a long way to go in terms of the injury that he had.
Yeah, Jack's very impatient. That's just the way he is, and that's not a bad thing. We just, we need to remind ourselves that he's not only picked this injury up; he's had injuries before. He wasn't fully fit when he first came to us. He hadn't kicked the ball for a long time. Obviously, we felt we'd gotten back up to speed, and then he's picked up another serious injury. So I think we've just got to be careful with Jack. Without again setting dates or when he's going to be back. We've got a clear plan for him. He's doing very well, I have to say. He's running. He's changing direction. He's doing well. So I think we've just got to take our time with him. Although he won't like me saying that, but I think we've got to be sensible. Look, the hope is he's going to be back for the business end of the season. When that is, we're not sure.